Welcome to another episode of Evolution Inspires, the podcast where we dive into the minds of some of the most forward-thinking technology leaders across the Nordics and beyond. I'm your host Nathan, and today I'm delighted to be joined by someone who spent more than 2 decades helping organizations solve complex business problems through technology. Joining me today is Peter Ruiter, CTO for Microsoft Customer Experience at Capgemini, Netherlands. Alongside leading enterprise transformation programs, Peter is also a Microsoft's global lead for Dynamics Contact Center, a Microsoft MVP, certified trainer, solution architect, and an internationally recognized speaker. Throughout his career, he's become known for simplifying complexity, helping organizations harness the power of Dynamics, Power Platform, and more recently, Gen AI to transform customer experience and drive real business outcomes. In today's episode, we're going to explore the reasons and lessons Peter has learned throughout his journey, from software developer and entrepreneur to one of Microsoft's leading voices in the customer experience and AI. We'll talk about the career advice he wishes he'd heard sooner, the moments that shaped his leadership style, and how he approaches challenges, and finally, his thoughts on what leadership will look like in an AI-driven world over the next decade. Peter, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I know how busy your schedule is, man. So thank you very much for making the time.
It's a pleasure to be here, and what an awesome introduction. I couldn't have said it better myself. It feels weird to hear someone else say it, but it's very nice to be here.
If you could go back to the beginning of your career, what's the one piece of advice you wish someone had told you?
I think it's to move sooner. So every job I've had has been about 7 years, right? And each time I left, it was because the challenge was gone. And each time it had been gone for a while before I did anything about it. So I think the gap is the mistake, right? Not the 7 years. The last year or two of each of them, I knew that and I stayed anyway. So I think the good advice is that safe and good aren't the same thing. So if you stop learning that safety, it's charging you and it doesn't get you any results. So take the risks earlier, trust that something better will show up because it always does, but it doesn't come and find you. You have to go looking for it.
I think I'm going to take you down memory lane, Peter, looking across your career. Was there a pivotal moment that really shifted things for you, whether it may be your mindset, career path, or maybe your approach to leadership?
A few of those moments. So I think that one of the most pivotal moments is that I had my own company. I sold my company. I had a marketing automation company that did everything in PHP and on Linux and in open source. So we programmed asset management tooling and marketing automation software before I moved to the Microsoft stack. And before I moved, I was the person everyone asked, right? I ran my own shop. I knew the answers. I was the person asking everything, basic things. And when I moved, that shifted, right? I was suddenly very, very uncomfortable. I was the guy that knew everything and suddenly knew nothing. So that was a big shift, and it had nothing to do with technology. The stack, in the end, it barely matters, right? It's just a different dialect. So what I learned there is that being the expert is a position that you occupy for a while, and being willing to give that up is basically the only thing that gets you back to it at a higher level. And I use that constantly now, right? So in contact center, the part of the world that I'm doing my work in, I'm the expert half of the time, and the other half I'm the one asking stupid questions, because that's how you grow, that's how you learn, that's how you get more knowledge and better yourself. So if you're never that second one, you stop moving, right? And that's, as I said, that's one of the pivotal moments. Be and dare to be the most dumb guy in the room.
Over your professional life, how have you approached, or how do you still approach difficult situations? Do you have a go-to strategy, mindset, that helps you navigate these moments?
Yeah, and obviously those setbacks are there in any form or any level of your career, right? And the kind of setbacks changed, right? When I was a programmer in the beginning of my career, I had setbacks with not being done on time and not meeting a deadline, and it's different, right? So if I look at my career now, at the level that I'm at, almost none of my escalations are technical anymore. Right? So I get pulled in when large enterprise programs are on fire. And by the time I'm in the room, the technical problem is usually solvable in an afternoon, right? So what actually is broken is mostly the political part, right? So if someone is questioning the stack that we picked 18 months ago, or two systems don't talk and nobody wants to own the scan, right? So the client's own team is missing deadlines, and now that deadline is my problem. So most of my job isn't fixing software, it's managing people, managing expectations, shielding my own team from the noise so that they can keep working. And you asked about a method. Do I have a method? It's not a great one, right? My go-to method is just stay calm and let people rage, right? I listen, and people in an escalation, they want to be heard before they actually want to be helped. So if you jump straight into the solution, you just told them that their frustration wasn't legitimate, right? So once they've said their piece, you can actually get to work. And honestly, like half of the time, they've talked themselves toward the answer by the time, right, we're getting there. So there's one boundary that's worth mentioning, right? I'm absolutely for raging about the project, but not about the team, because, as I said, it's usually political, and well, that's where we draw the line. As I said, it's not a skill. It's making sure you don't take the problems home. If someone shouts at me on a Thursday, then it's gone by Thursday evening, right? If I carried all of the escalations home with me, I would have a burnout 10 years ago. So I said the most advice there is I think people want to be heard before they want to be helped. I think that's the thing that you want to take home from this.
What do you believe that the best leaders will be doing differently over the next 5 to 10 years? And how are you personally preparing yourself and your teams for that future?
That's a few different questions. Let's unpack that. So I think the most comfortable answer is that leaders will need to understand that the comfortable answer that leader will need to understand AI, right? It's not all that. At some point, everyone will understand AI. Right? It's getting more of a commodity. So there's basically the three things that will actually change, right? And we talked a little bit about consulting. I think that selling effort will stop working pretty soon, right? Consulting always sold hours. We have discovery, configuration, testing. A lot of what a delivery team does is exactly bounded, structured work that agents are getting good at, right? So if a client sees that the agent did the config, why would they pay for that? Right? It's not a threat, it's just trying to reprice it. So what we're trying to sell is accountability, right? What will survive is the person who signs their name to the outcome. And I think every leader in this business should be asking, what are we charging for it if the effort were free, right? So value-based pricing is becoming more and more of a normal thing. Second, I think, especially in my space, that people are now buying on the wrong number, right? So if we take a look at, for example, the contact center, right? Contact center buyers, they get sold on deflection, right? With AI, we can make things better and cheaper and faster. But median deflection in an enterprise program is around 41%, say. So it sounds great, right? But deflection measures what the AI did and not what a customer got. So if you send a customer to an FAQ page, it counts as deflection, right? But so does a customer who gave up. So the number that matters is resolution. And that's what we see throughout all of these projects, right? That's why Gartner, for example, they expect more than 40% of the agentic AI projects will be canceled by the end of 2027. It's not because the models are bad, it's because no one agreed what resolved actually means before they signed it, right? So the leaders who do well are the ones who are willing to have that boring argument about definitions on day one. And I think third, leadership starts including things that aren't people. So what I mean by that is I lead architects, right? I'm also increasingly responsible for systems that take actions on their own. Issue a refund, change an account, make a promise to a customer. A model that is writing a slightly wrong sentence is a quality problem. So agents issuing a wrong refund is a liability problem, right? So none of our management training covers that. We're all working out what supervision means in this AI world, when the thing that you're supervising never gets tired, it never gets bored, it never tells you when it's unsure. So it is a different world. And then lastly, hope I'm not forgetting anything, is the team, right? You're asking about how do we train the team, preparing a team for the future. I think that it is a good thing. We're not certifying them into safety, right? I run training programs. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer. And the certification is basically a snapshot of a product that will look totally different in 2 years, right? So it's a floor, it's not a career. What I want from my people is what I described earlier, the willingness to be the one who's asking questions again. I did it once. It was the best thing that ever happened to my career, right? So expertise used to last about 7 years, which is coincidentally how long I stayed at every job. But it doesn't last that long anymore. So the thing that we hire for and develop for isn't a tool. It's basically the tolerance for going from expert to beginning without it wrecking your own confidence. And that's the whole job, right? Everything else is a course. Everything else you can learn. So, as I said, it requires a different mindset from the people we train, the people we hire, the people we develop into a senior that also is supervising AI. It is a different world. And we're trying to go on that journey together. We're all not sure of the outcome and of the end of it. It's changing super fast, but it's exciting times.